So, hey, what's up, dude?
Yo, I missed you.
No, you didn't. You're a lie.
Uh,
Don't you lie to me, Rut.
I would never lie to you.
We wanted to film a show and talk about. We were going to do more of our our haunted homeland, and we're going to do more of them. But ran into some.
I just spilled on myself. That's how today's going. Okay,
Yeah, what
continue.
you want to explain it?
Do I want to explain it?
Yeah, I mean it was your research that uncovered this
Yes.
inconsistency.
I like to call my mom a sassy mother. It's hilarious.
Ba-dum.
She's always just like,
Why are you so sassy eating
like you're such a
desserts?
sassy mother.
Have you seen that lady? She's like it's some kind of video clip where it's like I just want to eat desserts and bread and get fat and sassy. Have you seen that? Oh, that's getting
It sounds
thrown
amazing.
into this show.
Yes.
Eat bread and desserts and just get all fat and sassy.
But
Anyway.
so I was I picked out my location, and so I'll just say what it was. Like, I was going to do Texas, and I was looking at the Hill House, and I got a little
You just legit went fucking cross-eyed. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but I was worried for a second. So yeah. Anyway, there was a lot of inconsistency. Big
Yes,
time.
and it was frustrating because I wanted to be able to. You want to be able to say as close to what
The truth
has
is
been found to be true or most consistent findings, but
here we are doing something different today.
And I sort of felt like, fuck it.
I said, you know what, Linz? It's been a while since we've talked about, some experiences that we've had. But I think, well, for me, I can't speak to yours, but for me personally, they have been a bit more uncommon and frequent, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Things I don't really experience ever and more often. So I don't know if something's going on in the world or the universe or stars or whatnot, but if anyone knows what's been going on, like for April,
well,
let
I
me
think
know.
there's been a few things been going on. Like, I'm trying to think. We're in May now. Oh my God. I think there was like an eclipse on Saturday or something.
Oh, it was a major solar eclipse.
Really?
It was, I think it was almost total. It was like upwards above 80%. And there was that weird one-off fucking full moon or new moon.
Yes. So I knew there were a couple cosmically whatever
I wonder
things
if that's
going
part
on.
of it, man.
I know that people in the spiritual community, and specifically a friend of mine, there's been a lot of talk about the earth sort of this could get weird. That's all right. There's a lot of talk about how like the earth the last few years is
What's the name of our show?
I know, that's why I'm like, I'm just gonna keep going because I don't care.
This could get kind of weird.
I'm too exhausted to care. I just am.
So yeah, there's been some shit going on, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yes.
Yeah, like mine, I told you in the last episode, I'm not going to rehash it again, but that dream I had, I don't know if it's going to even end up staying in because it was so off, but anyway, long story short, I was in a very familiar place. But I was in the currently me going back like 20 years in this familiar place watching myself interact with my friends at the time who would go on the vacation with us.
Right.
including one who's passed. And there was someone with me, and I knew I had to share that experience, that memory with this person, but I did not know who they were. They had no
Mhm.
features, no, it
Right.
was just like you knew they were there. And that's what threw me off the most, because it was like an offering to someone or something that I had no idea who they were, what their intention was, but I was
Right, 'cause
offering
they're
up.
just shrouded.
Yeah, and I was offering up like a really, the memory itself wasn't significant, but that time is, because I've lost one, and it happened 10 days a year.
Mhm.
So every moment there is a memory that if it happened day to day wouldn't be, so there's so many moments that mean so much,
Yeah.
and I was just freely offering it up, and it was really weird. And I told you it was one, like, a very vivid dream too.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I that one was weird, but then for me to have heard that same week, I told you I heard, I hear things all the time, and it's like faint in the distant mumbling where it sounds like,
Kind of
voices or
constant
whatever.
chatter.
Yeah, that's you can't make sense of,
Right.
and it's
You just
just
know
low
they're
enough
right.
that you're like, "Am I really hearing that?"
Right, yeah.
Um, that happens a lot with me, but this time I was literally sitting in my living room, no sound on anything, because I was checking a few things, on my phone from work,
Yeah.
and I heard, like, plain as day, like someone in the other room sneezed, and I was like, "That's a new
YOLO?
one." So I kind of wonder if maybe, like, when you talk about time and space and movement and location and fourth dimension, third dimension, they're all locations.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if
And that's
maybe
what I was
the
thinking, that could be a part of why you're experiencing more stuff. Because, like, as I was
the
saying,
veil.
they've talked about the last few years that the Earth is the Earth is transitioning from 3D to 5D. And it's a consciousness thing. It's not like a physical sort of like, "Oh my god, the planet is
It's
gonna
not a new way to see
what
Doctor
the
Strange.
no." Um, so the Earth transitioning from 3D to 5D.
Hmm.
And it has to do with our consciousness. And I was talking to my friend about this. She's been experiencing it, and she believes that she's been going through this shifting into 5D thing.
Hmm.
I talked to her yesterday, and she genuinely feels that she's sort of jumped a timeline. Um, I wish I could remember more of our conversation, but uh, so there's this feeling of like some sort of cycle coming to an end, and like another one like we're in this transition. I think that's why everything's been so fucking insane. Like
Just
literally
because
everything.
things are transitioning a little bit,
The state of the
like
world,
we're in
like politics.
3.2D.
Yes, like global warming, freaking
Did you say global warming? That ain't real. That's a ploy.
freaking everything going on with Russia and Ukraine and everything, and
Hmm.
the pandemic, all of it.
And the
Huge.
Handmaid's Tale shit that's happening right now.
Mhm. Yes, I can't, I
That's why I said what I said, and in passing. But yeah, that's a factor
actually, you
too.
know what? Fuck it. No, I will say something on this because it's important to me. So whoever
Do
watches
it.
this, they're gonna know if they follow us because I talk
Trigger
about
warning.
this online. Yeah, but trigger warning right now because everything that is coming up with the fucking Supreme Court, trigger warning. This involves talking about rape. So if anyone cannot handle that, you may want to skip on forward a little bit.
We'll do something in post so you'll know it's over.
I genuinely feel sick. I think back to 6 years ago when I was drugged and raped. Um, If that had happened around this time, if I had gotten pregnant, I'd be fucked. There's a good chance I could be fucked with what's happening. And the fact that my state is one of those states that will probably go darker once federally they decide whatever the fuck it is that they're going to decide. And I will say right now that if men got pregnant, that abortion, that right, would never be threatened. And
Agreed,
it's as simple as
100%.
that. I don't give a fuck what people say. I've had people question me on that, and I'm like, a man who doesn't want to be pregnant, who's in power, has all this money, and is like, no time for this. I don't want to get rid of it. No problem. A woman.
Well, can I get your input on this? I was thinking about this last night, and it really bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
We're dealing with this. I'm not even going to say political party. I'm going to say a collective mindset of people that do not want any reference of homosexuality, gender, same-sex marriages, sex education, any kind of prevention conversations. They don't want any of that. They don't want any of that talked about in schools at all. And they're taking away anything you can do with your own body that could potentially have happened because you were not educated about how to prevent it.
Many are not educated.
And then add to that, even more with it that's bothered me is that as someone who it's very like, I'm not trying to have kids. You know, I'll be 41 this year. I'm single. So getting a vasectomy for me is not a big deal.
Right.
But I've never had something push me more to actively look into having it done soon than this, for two reasons. Number one, I don't want myself or anyone else in an unwanted situation.
Right.
And we can't do anything about it. Number two, if I couldn't do anything about it and gave birth to a daughter, how could I live with myself bringing her into a world that's taken away her choice, her body autonomy? So that's from a male's perspective. I mean, that's where I'm just kind of like, you know, I had every fourth grader knows that sex is a thing. Every fourth grader knows that sex is a thing.
Oh yeah.
What they don't know
fourth grade,
is how it's done, how to protect yourself, how things work. They know there's some naked and some moving. The point that I'm trying to get to is that I had I went to a very, very, very small school for elementary school. I'm talking like 11 people in my class.
Yeah.
And we got fourth, fifth, and sixth graders together for 1 hour, one time, to discuss a very remedial level of sex ed at a private school in Arkansas.
Right. Oh my God.
So, but the point is, at a private school in Arkansas, I was exposed to that. So I understood it a little bit more. I didn't have the internet. I didn't have, I mean, my grandfather was dad for me, but I'm not having that talk with my grandfather or my mom. You know, so that class is what saved me. And think about all these kids that are in single parent homes, regardless of race, and they don't have the funds. I mean, parent could be working 2 or 3 jobs. They never see them. Worried about keeping the lights on. They're not going to have internet. They're not going to have cable. So they depend on school. And I think it's a very entitled and privileged approach to say, we're not going to teach this here. if the kids want to learn, me and their dad can have the conversation. They can do a virtual course that we approve. A lot of families don't have that option.
No.
So anyway, I'll get off that high horse, but
Like, bottom line, it's a safety issue. We're not
yeah,
safe.
period.
I can't. Generally, it just feels like we don't matter. Our health doesn't matter. Our choices don't matter. What we want doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. I think it's men's duty to be more vocal about it. We need to be taking the charge on it personally.
Mm-hmm. And I've been trying to, I've been doing posts for years about how, okay, because this is something I will say, because I think this is very important. One of the most upsetting things for me after I was drugged and raped, I was seeing someone at the time, and he was a really good guy. He's a really good guy. He's a good guy. When I told him what happened to me, he said that I was the only woman he had known that had happened to. And my heart just...
No, he's not.
Broke. This small towns. We had a lot of the same friends. And I told him, I'm like, a lot of them have been raped. Or there's been attempts. Or there's been some sort of something else.
Yeah.
They just haven't told you. But we knew most of the same people.
And you'd get a different story than they would.
Right. And when the good guys don't know how bad things are, we're fucked. And it's just like with racism.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to white people to fix that shit. With women's rights, it's up to men to fix that shit because they're the ones fucking it up.
Mm-hmm. I'm agreeing with you 100%.
I know you agree on all of it. I genuinely, I never thought.
Men can do our parts by being, you don't have to go out and be watchdogs. But if you see something
and we don't want
but if you see something when you're out, step in. That's a big part of it.
There's so much like growing up where I know a lot of guys who have told me stories where they saw a friend of theirs do something that they thought was fucked up and they didn't say anything because that's your buddy and there's this code or whatever. How about a human code? Human decency and just treating everyone with respect? If someone is not giving consent or if somebody is if their body is being attacked, their mind's being attacked in some way, fucking step in. If it's verbal, physical abuse, whatever it is, I don't care. Just say, do something. That's all. Just do something. Try. I ask for trying.
That's it. So yeah, like there has to be some kind of shift going on for all this stuff to like it's been as weird as it sounds, I've been so much more, I'm not going to say like the frequency has changed, but much more confident and dead on when I have one of those me moments where I'm like, why are you feeling this way? Like, what's going on? Are you pissed off about this? Like, you know what I mean? Like those moments are just like, I'm not doubting it and worried I'm saying the wrong thing. I'm like,
right.
This is happening. And they're like, yeah, I fucking know.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? So it's like, it made me, when we were talking about like both like the eclipse and the weird new moon, whatever thing, like maybe the veils are thinner or closer together because of the way everything's moving, since it is location, time, space.
I'm trying to think. I think I might have seen I swear I saw a post in regards to the eclipse saying that something with the eclipse made the veil really thin. I don't
It's
know.
it's a
I mean, there's all
possibility.
sorts of, yeah, it is definitely a possibility. And I think there's a lot of, I don't know. The whole I feel like the whole galaxy or universe or whatever, and then even down to us just as individuals, like there's shifting going on.
Hmm.
Because I've noticed shifts in my life and things changing, just like my friends have noticed and you have noticed. And like, I see a lot of people chatting about it online and
On MySpace.
totally.
If MySpace comes back, then we worry.
You're my number one in my top 8.
Shit. Stop. I've got a new background code to send you later. I'll
Oh,
copy paste
shit.
that HTML5 to your rat
What
man.
song are you playing on your profile these days?
I don't know yet. I've got a couple things I want to embed in my page from Photo Bucket though, so
Oh, cool.
we'll see.
Cool.
We'll see what happens.
I like
No,
it.
it's I mean it has been like it makes you wonder if when you think about evolution,
Mm-hmm.
it's obviously not an overnight
Right.
process, and all of
Mm-hmm.
us are going to do it at a different pace. So hear me out on this one because this one is just like way off, but it
Mm-hmm.
just came to me. So if we all evolve at different points, like multiple generations of people can see a difference in evolution if you want to get technical. Like you could have a great great grandson not have this trait and great 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 grandfather did. You know, it
Right.
could be a huge gap.
Right.
What if those of us who are progressing before
Mm-hmm.
others, what if going back to the conversation we had with Kenny that you and I had had prior to that with us being the ghosts that haunt ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
what if the people that experience more frequent paranormal activity are not so much sensitive as they are more evolved and the time and
Oh, yeah.
space,
See,
so
I
it's not,
take sensitivity and evolved or whatever as the same thing.
but not so much as in like you have a gift, as in like this is just the way things are going to be for everyone down the road as we, you know what
Right.
I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that evolution is what's allowing us to experience pieces of what we would call residual hauntings,
Mm-hmm.
but in real time.
Yeah.
Because you know what I mean? Like that could, it's just something that popped into my head when we've been talking about all the time stuff recently and the haunting stuff and hearing things and moving in next to a cemetery and being like that doesn't freak me out. Like those are the most peaceful places for the most part, you know, that you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to worry about that.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
all of the chatter that I hear all the time that I've never heard anywhere except this house,
Mm-hmm.
maybe there's something to it
Yeah.
beyond like what we think of as ghost, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, totally.
And it's like a transcendence of time and space where you can coexist everywhere and every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, part of this shifting, who knows? It could be timelines sort of touching each other at different points in different people's lives. And like maybe it's just happening at a higher rate right now. And I don't know. That's just like another thing people have talked about. They said that this year is supposed to be like the largest awakening in human history.
Why is that?
I'm not even really sure. I don't know if it's part of like all the energetic stuff. I think that's part of it.
Hmm.
But there's also, okay, so when I think of awakening, I think that on a not necessarily a global scale, but a bigger scale, I think it is more quickly brought about, just like it is for individuals, and a lot of times that's through trauma.
Mm-hmm.
The last 3 years for the whole world,
That's fair.
there's been a
That's
lot
fair.
of trauma, and a lot of people have been forced to have more time to themselves and really think about some things. And I just think there's so much going on, and too many ways that we can't even understand.
Well, we have evolution happens to adapt to one's environment, right?
Mhm.
So if the collective is spending a lot more time isolated and alone with their thoughts, the brain is a muscle. You
Mhm.
work out muscles for them to grow, just like knowledge, as you
Yes.
learn.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
maybe that introspective 2.5 years,
Mhm.
the repetition of that and being in a different place. You know how you can space out and still end up at home when you're driving and not remember.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, the same type of thing might be happening where you're existing here, but you're so deep into the recesses of your brain that you're kind of working areas that haven't been worked in
Mhm.
a different way that might make you more aware of your environment because that's what you're adapting to a different. You're emotionally evolving
Right. Yeah.
during all of this as
Mhm.
opposed to physical evolution.
Right.
So
I
maybe
think
that played a
so.
factor.
Um, and a big part of awakening, whether it's on a bigger scale or an individual scale as well, is starting to be able to understand yourself better, understand what you need to work on better
Mhm.
is a big thing. And a lot of that has been happening. The beginnings of the pandemic and Black Lives Matter and all the demonstrations all over the world and everything that
Mhm.
was going on. Um,
And you got to see who people really were.
yeah, I was just gonna say things come to
That's the
light in
thing.
the awakening process, and there's been a fuck ton of that happening the last few years as well. So it
Yeah.
all kind of follows. And I mean, I know things are bad. I know a lot of people are scary. I know a lot of people are scared. But change is a long and uncomfortable process. Um, and it's clear that the way things aren't working for us anymore. And it's causing all this turmoil all over and inside people individually. Um, I th- I do think things are going to get better. I think
Oh, for sure.
there are more good people out there than bad. And of course all the
There
bad
are.
stuff just makes way more
There
it
are. And
makes
I
the
think there's
news
a
more
certain
and
point.
stuff, but
Well, looking at the collective again, though, there's a certain point like me, that no matter, like, if you and I got in an argument and it got heated, I would never lay a hand on you. Right.
oh
I
god,
mean, so
right, yeah, no, no, no.
but on the flip side of that, you also know that if I'm ever like with me being such a passive, like non aggressive person, that there are certain moments and certain things that will make me not start with that, but move in with the intention that this might have to happen. Like when I've told you stories about
Mm,
uh, me having to step in because these two assholes are really like scaring the hell out of this old lady and
right,
things like that.
yeah.
Um, people get pushed to a point, and
Mhm,
I think that's where what we call the good people
mhm,
are getting closer to. Like this is And I'm not saying that your political views make you bad or good. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is there's irrefutable evidence that we're destroying our planet and that we are not taking care of each other.
Right. And that we're getting
And
close to the point where we're not going to be able to fix it if we don't start.
And I think that's when you're going to start seeing the people who have been very aware and proactively speaking out about these types of things. I think that's when you're going to see that, okay, you can push me all you want, but at this point, it's not just me. So I'm stepping in. Like I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's coming,
Yeah.
and
That feels
not
right.
like a
Yeah.
war or like a battle or violence or anything, but
Right.
like a much more aggressive response
Mm-hmm.
to the apathy for other people and where everyone lives.
Right. More of a stance of like, this is enough. We're done with
Mhm.
this shit. No more.
And I don't know. It just it feels like it goes back to that whole question that you see memes about it. Every generation has their own meme about this here, except for like our parents, because they're part of the generation it didn't count for. But like why aren't you having kids? Well, housing has gone up 700% in the last
Oh
15
yeah.
years, and minimum wage hasn't. Um, the earth is dying. We're
Actually,
overpopulated,
mhm,
and I can't afford. I'm paying for your friend's house's mortgage to live here, so
right,
I'm okay paying 1,400 a month in rent, no problem. But I can't get a loan to pay a mortgage for 850 a month.
right. Mm,
So that's, I mean, you look at just the state of things. We're going to get to that point where the general, like all of us, everyone is
mhm,
going to start realizing, oh my God, I didn't know it was that bad, because it will have impacted them in some way, not
right.
just hearing about it.
Yep.
And it's going to take that, unfortunately, I think,
Yes,
where
I was just gonna say that. Sorry, this or unfortunately, that's what it's gonna take for a lot of people.
I wish it wasn't that way, but I don't remember who
But
said this historically, but it's like when they came for the white man or for the black man, I was silent. When they came for the Jew, I was silent. When they came for me, there was no one left to speak for me.
right, exactly.
That's what it's going to take.
Yep. That's funny you mentioned that because that's something I've been thinking about the last few years a lot.
The division and
Mhm. Yeah.
the more that we can.
And all these privileged asses that just stand by and watch, and it's like,
Mhm.
well, eventually it's gonna catch up to you for some sort of fucking reason. Because if
At some
if
point.
you're not in some major position of power, sorry to rain on your parade, but you're gonna be fucked.
Well, I mean, and it goes back again to that abortion thing. Like, how many of these pro-life people are going to be pro-life when they have a granddaughter who's pregnant because her brother and his friends got her drunk and raped her?
Yeah.
Like, is that grandma going to be like, "Well, it's God's will"? Bullshit. Shut up.
I know. Like,
If that's God's will,
if
you
that
need a
was
new religion.
grandma's thought, grandma's
Hmm.
grandma's
If
somewhere
you're
around grandma.
if that's God's will and your religion, you need a new God. You're in the
Yeah.
wrong religion. Period. I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't care.
I don't
Um,
care either. Yeah.
I don't-
Guns in America and eagles and
have you seen that fucking video where they're playing Team America with the eagle that has arms drawn on it? McDonald's, fuck yeah, Walmart. Oh, I love it.
so funny.
All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us today, tonight, morning, whenever you're watching. We really did have a plan to continue with the haunted homelands, but life happens, and we couldn't get some consistency with some of the facts, so you kind of got to just eavesdrop on us and see. I mean, this is what made us decide to start this in the first place.
Just
Just
shoot the
the
shit about
banter we
the weird
have.
stuff.
Yeah, it's like, let's document it, and if people want to watch it, cool. So Thank you guys again for hanging out. If you've got any comments about anything we said, we talked about, any stories you want to share, or if you just got suggestions, ideas, any of
Right. We
that,
would love to hear them.
will you put our email address down here at the bottom?
I would be more than happy to do that. Yes.
And we really do want to hear from you guys. So any
Yes, we
ideas,
do.
suggestions, tips, stories you want to share, if you've got an idea for a show and you want to come on and talk about it, that's an option too.
Yeah.
We
We
just
don't
like
care.
hanging out and talking. So if you want to do that, that would be awesome. And thank you guys again for watching. We do have one special message to send out, Lindsay.
Yes, we wanted to give a shout out to John from Madison. Little birdie told me that this guy who isn't a big internet person, doesn't have Facebook or Instagram, is going to actually sign up for a YouTube account specifically so they can comment on our episodes.
Holy shit. That's awesome.
It's a pretty big deal. And I'm
You're
like,
welcome,
that's awesome.
YouTube.
That's so
You're
rad.
welcome, YouTube. You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right.
And we can't wait to hear from you, John. So, yes.
Yes.
You're
That's
awesome.
awesome. Thank you guys again. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend.